are all messed up horribly right now. I am all to blame for this mess I have put myself in. Roughly 9 years ago, I was on deployment and met a guy who I became friends with. It was strictly friends. Over the years, we still remain friends, but my heart got tied up in it, and for me became more of an emotional affair. My husband was working a lot, providing for us and our kids. He is a damn good provider, but it kept him from home a lot, probably more than I ever liked. Deep inside, I kept the secret that my heart was not fully my husband's, that there was this friend who had part of it for so many years. About 3 years ago, husband confronted me about the friendship, and it was obvious that the emotional affair was only one-sided. The other guy barely ever responds, and I was the one initiating the conversations, probably out of boredom and loneliness. I cut all contact after 2 years, preceding husband finding out about my feelings. I wanted to make our marriage work, but I still could not shake the feelings I had for the other guy. Other guy does not live in the same state as us, never has. Military has kept him all over the United States, but never in the same state. Last year, I got a message from him after not hearing from him for over 2 years. He had been going through a hard time, and I made a mistake of talking to him via internet and consoling him over his relationship loss. I again made another mistake, sent the said guy a birthday card with no return address. Just wanted to make sure he knew he was thought about because he was going through so much. Probably the worst thing for me to do, because he sent me a message on Facebook and husband saw it and flipped out. Well, now after months of contemplating divorce, husband filed last week. I am forever regretful because I ruined a decent marriage. We had our differences, but husband is not a bad man by any means. If anything, he is the most understanding, kind man I've ever known. I am an emotional wreck and can't seem to keep it together. Our kids don't really know what is going on just yet. I hope we don't have to tell them because we are trying to keep things normal for them. As of right now, I'm keeping this house and the kids will live with me full time, with him getting them from school in the afternoons and every other weekend. He works nights, so we really can't swing the full-time thing. I want him to see them as often as he wants. The plus to part of my woes is we have a rental house next door. So after our renter's lease is up in March, he will move over there. But in the meantime, we'll remain under the same roof even after the legal divorce. To make matters even more stressful, I'm in nursing school right now. 5 days a week, I'm in class. It's a hard program and fast-paced. I almost feel like quitting to get a job because I don't know how I'm going to manage. Husband keeps saying things will be fine. He is making sure we are both financially set up and won't fail. We have very little debt and already agreed what we do have will pay off at tax time. I have not worked in 7 years, so we'll need to get a job ASAP once I get done with school so I can carry my own insurance. Today I got a letter from his attorney, and it was explaining how once the divorce is final, my health benefits are done. I have to either do COBRA or get my own. I panicked because I don't have a job yet, and he keeps telling me I don't need to get one. He and I are good friends still, husband and I. We actually sat by a campfire and talked like good old friends. He keeps reminding me that we are just too different for each other, that he wants us both to be happy. I tend to be very needy in regards to physical touch and affection, and he does not need it. Over the past few years, I've felt that we are no more than roommates, sleeping in different rooms. He says it's only because of his work hours. I realize I'm all to blame. If my heart had been 100% his all these years, and I had just been happy with the time we do get together, we would be fine. I'm a miserable mess and I'm trying really hard to stay positive, especially because he is all calm and not really making a huge deal out of it. But I feel 100% guilty for all this. Our kids deserve to have both of us in their lives full time, and I ruined our marriage. I ruined myself and my husband. Now all I have to look forward to is a divorce probably in the next 90 days and the stress of finishing nursing school, then moving on with my life. I realize I will get some bashing for being the wrong one in this, but I'm a wreck and admit my wrongs for the emotional affair. How do I get through this and not lose myself? Now for the top of advice. People usually like my answers. This one may not go over so well, we'll see. Okay, I'm going to preface this with 2 things. 1, I fell in love with someone else when I was married the first time and it eventually led to a divorce. And 2, I got actually really cheated on by my second wife that led to a divorce. So I've got some experience when I say these things. You did screw up, you did some things you shouldn't have, but it wouldn't have mattered even if you didn't. And at this point, you need to learn, you need to apologize if you feel you need to, and then you need to forgive yourself to move forward, but never quite enough to forget the lessons you've learned. But you also need to cut yourself some slack, and you need to give yourself some credit for everything you didn't do. There are 3 big reasons to not feel as bad as you're feeling. 1, if everything was perfect about your marriage, you wouldn't have fallen in love with someone else. A lot of people aren't going to like that I'm saying that, but I've been in the wrong relationship a couple of times and the right relationship once. And that's the way I see it. If 95% of your needs are being met, if 95% of the connection you want is there, if 95% of the beliefs and behaviors connect appropriately, you simply won't be capable of falling in love with someone else. It's totally possible to lust after someone else, even in the right marriage, but lust doesn't survive 2 years of complete lack of contact. What you did was fall in love, and that's only possible when you're not completely in love. 2, you didn't choose to fall in love. Of the times I've fallen in love, that in retrospect really turned out to be love and not some exaggerated form of like lust, want, respect, whatever. I can tell you that without question, I never chose to fall in love. For the ones that worked out great and the ones that were the worst decisions of my life, not one of them was a choice. And I can point out some things when I tried really hard to fall in love, when someone seemed so perfect for me, and like we were such a great couple, and she was so nice and so pretty and so trustworthy, and she had so much in common, and she's clearly in love with me, if I tried just a little harder. But nope, it was always pretending, and deep down, I knew it. You didn't choose to fall in love, and you didn't choose to do it. You really can't feel bad about it. 3, that love made you want to do a million things. That love made you want to walk away from your home and your husband and never look back and throw yourself down at the feet of this man and beg him to take you with him everywhere he goes. It made you want to find a way to seduce him. It made you want to find a way to make him need you, want you, desire you. It made you want to show up at his hotel room door, and when he answers it, throw every piece of clothing you are wearing through the door and stand there in the hallway buck naked, so he'll invite you in. It made you want to send him love letters and flowers and presents. It may have been worse than that, more graphic, more sexual, more aggressive. But of those thousands of things that you could have done, you did nothing. You cut off all contact, not because you were caught and were given an ultimatum, but because you knew it wasn't right. You were married, so you did it, and you kept it cut off for 2 years until he really needed a friend, and then you broke. You broke not because your marriage meant less or because you saw a chance to make this new relationship be something more. You broke the silence because he was very hurt and because he needed a friend, and you were that friend. You didn't step into girlfriend help for a man you wanted or ravage you. You stepped up as a friend to help a man you've come to understand well get through a tough time. This makes perfect sense to me, by the way. My first ex and I were done, then friends for a while, then we dropped that. We didn't talk for years because we had nothing to talk about. I didn't have anything I needed from her. She didn't have anything she needed from me. So, no talking because no need. Then her dad died, and we talked 10 hours a day for a few days. Then we drifted again. Sometimes the worst partner can still be the best friend for the situation. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm guessing at these numbers based on personal experience watching my friends and the huge amount of counseling I do in this forum. Raise your hand if you've seen or taken my advice around here. See? But I'm guessing that given the scenario as described, the percentage of people here who would have chose "so I cut him off completely" is under 15% and probably closer to 5%. Hell, many of us have left for losers with barely functioning brains because they're more fun than us people who want money in the bank and won't just leave the kids at home to go to the bar and crawl the college district looking for drugs. I'd feel better if I'd been left for love rather than left for he gets good coke and he fucks me hard. So look, if there's guilt to be had, you and your husband share it, and I think he knows that. You and he let the relationship get to the point where enough was missing that your heart went looking for something else. You're bad, his bad, that's a couple bad. You fell in love, which sucks, but it's not your fault. Then you did the best thing you could have possibly have done, but didn't fix anything because your marriage was still not where it needed to be. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this, but I believe it with my whole heart, and I can quote Toby Keith lyrics if it'll help you convince you. Even if you'd never met this man, your marriage was going to end. It's not ending badly now. It would have ended badly then, but the reason your husband is being so nice about this and is willing to let you go is because he loves you and wants you to be happy, but also because he loves himself enough to know he deserves a partner who feels the way that you feel about this other dude. And given how you describe him, I think he can find that partner, and I think he'll be really happy. He also knows you could have cheated on him for real. I'm not trying to say emotional cheating isn't really cheating, because that's a big argument. But I'm going to say this: I've been cheated on in both regards, and they're not the same. One hurts because someone that was supposed to only love you has those feelings for someone else. The other hurts because someone you trust betrayed your trust, potentially exposed you to deadly diseases, made day-to-day conscious choices to do those things and to hide them from you, and they did them in public where anyone could have seen them. It's not the same, and the guilt is not the same. So you shouldn't have reestablished contact, but it doesn't matter. How quickly your husband was ready to move on, this minor occurrence shows that the damage of you loving someone else had already been done. It was irreversible. Your marriage would have ended one way or the other. So here it is from me, from the man who has been cheated on as brutally as possible. I'm going to say it. Forgive yourself and it's over. You can get his forgiveness too, great. If he's half the man you've described him to be, he'll be probably apologizing to you as well. Something along the lines of, "I'm sorry I couldn't be what you needed me to be." He knows what you didn't do. He knows you didn't do that because you did love him and your family. He'll recover, the kids will recover, and you will recover. And you'll all recover quickly because you fell in love and didn't chase it. It wasn't your fault you fell in love. It was your fault it didn't turn into a horrible, hurtful, evil, eviscerating situation. So, feel a little regretful about the first and feel pride about the second part. If you told me this story on a first date and everything else went fine, I'd be asking you out on a second date tomorrow. You're not a cheating whore, you're not a homewrecker, you're not a wanderer, you're not a philanderer. In my book, you're a passionate, loving, dedicated woman who chose the wrong husband. That's not a crime. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.